Good morning, students. Today we are having the class on descriptive statistics. As we were mentioning in the first class that we are having two parts for statistics for you to study. The first is what we call as descriptive statistics and the second is what we call as inferential statistics. So descriptive statistics means what's the use of that? That is what you want to first study, or first you want to know first that what do you require descriptive statistics. The first and the foremost thing is that we were mentioning about the presentation of data in the last session. So from the presentation of data, what we will get, if we are having a huge data, we will tabulate it, we will present it in such a way so that it is understood by a common man, a layman. The same thing, if the huge data is there, it is very difficult for us to look like a table. It is very difficult for us to look into each and every rows and columns. It won't give an exact value, a single value. The condensation of data is very important. When we summarize the data, when we process the data, the condensation of data is very important. So this descriptive statistics or the measure which we are going to study here will help us to condense the data in such a compact form. That is why we are studying descriptive statistics. We are having measures there. Like, for example, we were mentioning in the last class about the academic performance of first year. So if I get the average value of one batch, I can compare that with the average value of the other batches, so that it will give us a picture of the academic performance of the students if we are going to have academic performance. If I am having in an OP, if we want to know that what's the average number of patients that is coming in an OP or during a particular week, Monday, how many patients are there? Tuesday, how many patients are there? Like that, if we want to find the average number of patients that is coming to an OP in a particular week, again, we can calculate the measure there. Understood? So for this purpose, we need a measure. We need an exact value. These measures will help us to find the exact value. All the frequency distribution tables and all, which we were mentioned in the last class, gives us only the tabular form, or it is the first step towards the condensation of large data into a compact form. But the measure is what we will get an exact value, a single value there, which will help us to condense the data more. That means exact value we are getting. So what do you mean by average? Average is the center of concentration of values. The value get concentrated on an exact value, and that is what we call as average. Also, it gives us a bird's eye view of the entire data. That means average, how will you calculate? Usually, how will you calculate the average? Adding all the values and dividing with the number, you will get average. So what it will get? It will get an exact value, a single value you will get when you calculate the average. So that is what we are going to study here. The two measures are there here. The first is what we call as measures of central tendency, and the second is what we call as measures of dispersion. What do you mean by measures of central tendency? It gives the centermost value of the data. Or we can tell that it summarizes a distribution of score by reporting the most typical or representative value of the distribution. That means it helps us to understand the distribution. So that is why three measures are there, measures of central tendency are there for you. The first is what we call as the mean, second is median, and third is mode. How will you calculate mean? Adding all the values and numbers and dividing with the number of observations. That means if I am having the HB values of 20 patients, so all the HB values are there, add all that values and then divide it with the number 20, you will get the mean. How will you calculate median? Median is calculated by arranging all these HB values either in ascending order or in descending order. Then you will arrange the numbers. After arranging the numbers in either ascending or descending order, you will check the number of observations that is given there. If even number of observations are given, there will be two values at the middle. So since 20 is an even number, there will be two values at the middle. Take the average of that value, you will get the median. But if only 19 observations were there, take the middlemost value. 19 is what? It's an odd number. So there will be only one value at the middle. Take that value as the median. So this is how you will calculate median. So how will you calculate median? Arrange all the numbers either in ascending order or in descending order. Then check the number of observations that is given there. If the number of observations that is given is even number of observations, then there will be two values at the middle. Take the average of that, you will get the median. If the number of observations are odd number of observations are there, then there will be only single value at the middle. So if 19 observations are there, which will be the, after arranging the numbers in the ascending order or in descending order, the centermost value will be the 10th observation. So take the average of, take that value as such as the median. Then how will you calculate mode? Mode is what we call as the most repeated value. The value that occurs most repeatedly or more frequently in a series is what we call as the mode. And then now we want to know that when and where to apply this mean. Of course, mean is what we call as the best measure of central tendency. But there is limitation for mean also. Mean can be calculated only for a quantitative data. If the data is qualitative, we cannot calculate the mean. But there is advantage of median over it, where median can be calculated both for qualitative data and for quantitative data. And then mean is calculated only if all observations are given there. If any of the observation is missing, we cannot calculate mean. Again, median is overruling that. That means median is having advantages over it, where median can be calculated even if one or two observations are missing. Then one of the most important advantage of median over mean is that median can be applied if there are outliers. That means the extreme values are there, then we can calculate median. What do you mean by extreme value? If the academic performance of some students in our class after the internal exam in community medicine, we have seen that most of you have scored your marks between the range of 30 and 40. Or maybe in the range of less than 30. Some are having 21 marks out of 50, I am telling. 21, 20, 23. But one person is having the marks 48 out of 50. So that is what we call as the outlier, the extreme value. That means only some around a value, most of the values will be around within that particular range. But one value lies at the extreme. Usually this will happen as in surgery and all. That means what we see is that the number of hospital stay of a certain number of patients in a hospital. Some may have for some surgery. Some may have complications, but some don't. So usually the patients are leaving the hospital. They are discharged from the hospital maybe after say 6 or 7 days. But one patient had some complications. He was about to stay in that hospital for another 1 month. So this is what we call as outlier. So if the extreme values are there like that, we cannot use mean because it won't represent the data. In that case, we will use median. Median will be more representative in that case when the extreme values are there rather than mean. Now, the other advantage of mean over median is that mean is considered as a representative of the distribution. Because we are always using all the data in order to calculate mean, so it represents the distribution. Contrast of that, median cannot be considered as the representation of a distribution because even if some values are missing, we can calculate median. Now the next measure of central tendency, next measure of this measure is what we call as measures of dispersion. Now again, why we need to have these measures of dispersion? We have seen that measure of central tendency gives the exact value, the middlemost value of the data. So if there are data having same averages, say the mean for two set of data seems to be same. We calculated the same value or we got the same value for the mean. But when we have gone through that data, we can see that the numbers are different there. Why this is happening? Because there is variation within that data. Even though the mean is same, there is variation. That means that each data is varying from its mean. There is variation of each of the data from its mean. So this variation is studied by using the measure called measures of dispersion. So the measures of dispersion gives how individual observations are scattered or dispersed from the mean of a large series. So this is what we are having in measures of dispersion. From the word itself it is clear, dispersed, scattered. It gives the scatterness of the data from the mean. So any characteristics that can be measured or categorized is subject to variation. So when we calculate the height, weight, so if I calculate your height and weight of your class itself, you can see that the height and the weight is very much varying values. Most of our biological variables are varying. And therefore, most of these measures of dispersion, we will calculate the variation from the mean. Even if it is mean, median and mode, this measure is calculated from the mean, from the average values. So in order to understand the distributions, we must know these measures. Even if it is measures of dispersion or measures of central tendency, we need to understand the characteristics of that particular distribution. That is why we are studying these measures. And now, this variability, the measures of dispersion are the statistics that indicate the amount of variety or heterogeneity in a distribution, variety or heterogeneity in a distribution of scores. So there are three measures of dispersion. The first is what we call as the range, second is what we call as the mean deviation, third is what we call as the standard deviation. How will you calculate range? Range is calculated by taking the least value and the highest value. We will get the range. Only two values are there, so we are not considering any value between it. So only two values we are considering, and that itself is considered as the limitation of this measure. So that is the limitation of measure. But in order to calculate which is the simplest measure of dispersion, means it is range only. The second measure is what we call as mean deviation. So as we were previously mentioned, even if it is mean deviation or standard deviation or any measure of dispersion, the first measure we will calculate is the measures of central tendency, either mean, median or mode. The scatterness of the data is calculated from the mean, or how much the data is scattered from its average. That is what we are looking in measures of dispersion. That is why. So mean deviation, how will you calculate mean deviation? First we want to calculate the average. The average usually we will calculate is the mean. After calculating the average, after calculating the mean, what we will do, we will take the difference of each of this observation from the mean. Each of the observations. So if you are having a set of HB values, say for example 13.1, 14.2, 15.7, like that we are having the set of HB values, and we got the average of that value as a 14.3. So the first value, we will take the difference of 13.1 minus 14.3. Like that, we will take the difference of each of that observation from its mean. So sometimes we will get the negative value, sometimes we will get the positive value. In order to avoid this sign, what we will do is that we will take the absolute value in the case of mean deviation. Then once the absolute value is there, as you know, the absolute value of minus 3 is 3 only. The absolute value of plus 3 is 3 only. We are ignoring the sign there. So once the absolute value is calculated, now what we will do, we will add all these values, add all these differences, absolute differences, and then we will divide it with the number of observations. And this is what it gives us mean deviation. Now how will you avoid this sign in standard deviation? Standard deviation also, we are calculating the standard deviation by taking the difference of each of the observation from its mean only, from the average, which is mean only. So again we are getting both positive and negative values, but in standard deviation we will square that observation. We know that when we square an observation, even if it is positive or negative, it becomes positive only. So the square of minus 3 is 9, the square of minus 6 is 36. The square of plus 6 is also 36. So like that, when we square an observation, the sign get ignored. So in standard deviation, what we will do is that, as we were mentioning in the mean deviation, that we will take the numbers are there, we will take the average of it, we will take the deviation of each of that observation from its mean. And sometimes the positive and negative values are there, we will take the square of each of that observations. We will add that observations, divide with the number. Here you want to mention specifically that the number of observations, if the number of observations is less than 30, we will divide it with n minus 1. If the number of observations is greater than 30, we will divide it with that number only. So for example, if you are having 20 number of observations, so what we will do here, we are adding all the squares of each of the observations. All the each of the observations square get added. We are dividing it with, since the number of observations is less than 30, 20 was the observations. 20 observations were there, no? So since the number of observation 20 is less than 30, we are dividing it with 19, n minus 1, 20 minus 1. But if there, imagine that there are 40 number of observations, but there we will divide it with 40 only. So then take the square root of that, we will get standard deviation. So how will you get standard deviation? First, for a set of data, in order to calculate standard deviation, the first thing you want to do is you want to calculate the average. You want to calculate the mean. Take the difference of each of this observation that is given there from its mean, from that mean. Square each of that differences. Add all that differences. Divide it with n minus 1 if the number of observation is less than 30. Divide it with n if the number of observation is greater than or equal to 30. Take the square root of that, which gives us standard deviation. And the standard deviation is considered as the best measure of dispersion because it always represents the data. There is one more measure which I didn't mention here, is what we call as coefficient of variation, but you will do the problems when you come for your practical sessions. That is what we call as coefficient of variation. But standard deviation, what we are getting in the measures of dispersion, the variation in the data. But the standard deviation, the best measure of dispersion, is not useful for comparing the variability of two distributions measured in different units. That means we can compare the variability within that distribution only in only in the case of standard deviation. That means height, we can calculate the average value, we can calculate the variation for that particular value for the set of data regarding height. That is true in the case of standard deviation. But if we want to find the variation between height and weight, understood? Height means it is measured in meter or centimeter, weight measured in gram or kilogram in our case. Then if we want to find the variation between this height and weight, then we cannot apply standard deviation. There we will apply coefficient of variation. So that is what you are having in the next slide here, where the coefficient of variation is how much is the variability is as compared to the mean. So it can compare the variability in one characteristics with another or in one sample with another, which is not applicable, which is not done in the case of standard deviation. So for example, here we are having, so what's the formula here for coefficient of variation? Standard deviation divided by mean into 100. So how much it is varying as compared to its mean? That is what you are measuring in coefficient of variation for two set of data which is having different units. So that is what here it is mentioned, that the variability in two variables studied which are measured in different units like height and weight. That is what you will get in coefficient of variation. Again, the variability in two groups with widely different means like incomes of person in different socioeconomic status. So income of person is having a range of data where the socioeconomic status is socioeconomic groups is having another range of data where we can see that the mean values are extremely variable or the mean values are extremely different. The mean values are widely distributed there. So this is the case of coefficient of variation. And so when we see the data, we can see that which variable is varying more, height or weight. Do you understand this coefficient of variation? That means how much the data is varying. When we see the height and weight, you can see that which variable is varying more. Height is having the measurement, we are measuring the height in meters, but weight is measuring in kilogram. And we can see that when we go through this data, the weight is varying more than height, or height is more consistent than weight. Understood? When we go through the data called pulse rate and respiratory rate, there also we can see that with the pulse rate is more consistent than respiratory rate. So this can be measured only by using coefficient of variation. That is what we were mentioning there, that if the two set of data is having measured in different units, then we cannot apply standard deviation. then we will apply coefficient of variation only. Understood? So all these measures you will do the practical sessions when you come for your practical posting, and it is there in your university exam also. So this is what the class is. Thank you.